New evidence suggests the Hayward Fault, which runs through Oakland and Berkeley, may be the most dangerous in America.
Within 2 or 2.5 seconds, San Francisco would be enveloped by strong shaking. Within 7 seconds, the strong shaking would hit Berkeley, and in 20 seconds it would hit San Jose. So within 20 seconds, the entire Bay Area would be shaking violently.
The Hayward Fault is a crack in the Earth's crust up to 20 miles deep that stretches roughly 40 miles from San Pablo Bay in the north to Fremont and Milpitas at its southernmost end.
It is constantly moving, little amounts every year. The problem is it's not moving enough. And so we still have big earthquakes on the Hayward Fault to make up the difference.
I'm walking along the Hayward Fault, and here is the offset caused by the fault on this curve.
Jim Leenkemper is a geophysicist with the U.S. Geological Survey in Menlo Park. His specialty is paleoseismology, which means that he studies ancient earthquake ruptures. Leenkemper and others on the USGS team dig trenches across earthquake faults. Peering into tectonic time, they find evidence of fossil earthquakes, which they radiocarbon date to determine the magnitudes and dates.
Along the Hayward Fault, we have evidence for 12 earthquakes in a single trench.
The most interesting thing we have found is that the rate of earthquakes has been fairly regular over the last 2,000 years.
Not only is it regular, it's due. Their data has shown that a major quake on the Hayward Fault has occurred roughly every 140 years for the last 2,000 years. And guess what? 2008 marks the 140th year anniversary of the 1868 Hayward earthquake.
Probably the most dangerous fault in the United States is the Hayward Fault right here in the Bay Area, and that's because it has the potential for very large earthquakes, and it runs right through a very built-up area.
And when it goes off, the lives of 7 million people who live and work in the Bay Area will change in a matter of seconds. It's something many residents would rather not think about.
Zobak estimates the number of deaths in the thousands.
Most people in the urban parts of the Bay Area live in homes built prior to modern building codes.
And they could collapse.
They could collapse, particularly the homes that are built over open garages, and many deaths will occur.
As many experts have said, older single-family homes built over garages may be the worst problem in a big quake, leaving thousands of people homeless, perhaps unnecessarily so.
It's an absolutely horrible problem. I see Hurricane Katrina repeating itself here in the San Francisco Bay Area. I see houses that I can look at from the outside, and I can say this house is going to fall down. I know that.
Howard Cook, a contractor specializing in retrofits, has inspected hundreds of Bay Area homes. Homeowner Jay Tibbetts asked Cook to check out his house on Twin Peaks.
This is the edge of your floor right here,
Okay.
your house. And if you look, there's nothing really supporting it for back and forth motions like this except air.
Cook says California's building codes for homes barely address retrofitting, and that many contractors don't have the training he does to protect homes.
When the floor starts to rock back and forth like that, we're going to hold it right here. And if we hold it right here, the whole front's not going to move.
Okay.
So you're really lucky. Most houses in San Francisco are not like this.
Okay.
Still, Cook says it will cost Tibbetts about $10,000 to retrofit his home.
It's a complacency that we served thinking about '06 and the city survived and it went on and what a beauty she is now. That was a horrible, devastating event. Thousands of people were killed. 225,000 people were left homeless. Half the city was gone. We don't really look at it from that perspective, and people need to remember that was a horrible, horrible, catastrophic event, and that could happen again.
Protecting your house is possible if you know how. Howard Cook, owner of Bay Area Retrofit in Berkeley, is trying to avert at least some of this devastation by preaching the benefits of strengthening your home. And he's converting the masses, one foundation at a time.
I'm going to explain what a cripple wall is, and if you mind, here's the foundation of this house. The floor is up here, and in between there's a wall, and these walls collapse in earthquakes. Imagine this is the floor of the house, probably weighs 80,000 pounds, and when it shakes back and forth, this cripple wall will collapse and the house will fall from its foundation. So when you put the piece of plywood on, it can no longer move. This is very, very strong. The only thing is, once you put the piece of plywood on, this can still shake on the foundation. It can slide off. So you have to bolt the bottom of this to the plywood, to the foundation. So as you can see, the floor of the house can still slide on top of the cripple wall. So what you do is you take a piece of steel and you attach the floor framing to the top of the cripple wall, so now it can't remove. This is a complete retrofit. Probably 25% of the houses in the East Bay have been retrofitted, and I would guess that 95% have been done incorrectly.
For 15 years, Cook has lobbied local building departments and city governments to establish better retrofitting standards.
There are no seismic retrofit codes that work. There are some guidelines, but they don't apply to any of the houses we see. These old houses were built by Norwegians, by Spanish, by different Europeans, and they're all done differently. And you have to understand how it works, and you have to know what to do when you see it. This is a huge disaster. It's going to be the largest natural disaster in the history of the United States, and I can do something about it.
Roadways will be shut down, so I think we can assume transportation networks will be completely disrupted and destroyed. Water will likely be shut down. There will be fires because gas lines will rupture. There won't be enough water to fight the fire. Power will be down. Communications will be down.
And if that's not enough to get your attention, recent findings by the USGS indicate the Hayward Fault may connect with the Calaveras Fault, which runs east of downtown San Jose.
The maximum earthquake we could have if the entire Hayward Fault ruptured is about magnitude 7.1. But then if you add an earthquake that would continue on to the Calaveras Fault, you could get a substantially larger earthquake, maybe about 7.4, which would have devastating impact across the region.
11,000 residents have volunteered for training to help the likely overwhelmed fire department, like some residents did spontaneously in the '89 quake.
We've come to realize that we can't depend on the federal government to protect us anymore, especially in light of the Katrina disasters. So that's been a real motivation for us to do hands-on and do the best we can to take care of ourselves, our neighbors, and our community.
Come together.